first time ever.
Warning acts of terror.
We are ready to engage with a two-state solution.
Some of his most senior cabinet members.
The drivers of a new economic age.
Trump's former trade advisor Peter Navarro has blamed India for prolonging the Ukraine war, even calling it Modi's war. Yes, you heard that right. Russia invades Ukraine, NATO sends billions in weapons, Europe keeps filling tanks with Russian energy, and somehow it's India's fault. So let's break this down, because beneath the sarcasm, this is not just a careless remark. It's the beginning of a narrative war against India. Now, India is buying Russian oil, keeping Russia's economy alive, hence prolonging the war. A dramatic label, Modi's war. Amazing. From Delhi, India is apparently managing Europe's battlefront, running G20, sending Chandrayaan to the moon, and still blamed for the Ukraine war. Truly multitasking at superpower levels, right guys? The war began in 2022 with Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now since then, NATO and the United States have poured in $100 billion in weapons into Ukraine. Yet nobody calls it Biden's war or NATO's war. Do suggest your views on this line, please. Now, Europe continues to get Russian oil, sometimes directly, often indirectly through middlemen. China buys Russian oil in bulk at discounts. Now, the United States itself has also imported Russian oil, and it continues to trade in goods with Moscow. But when India buys oil legally and refines it, often selling it back to Europe, suddenly it becomes a problem. Apparently, when China buys oil, it's geopolitics. When Europe buys, it's a necessity. When the United States buys, it's a strategy. But when India buys, it magically turns into a war funding. Wonderful. And let's not forget, America is upset it didn't get agri exports from India. Then food security is a major pain point, and New Delhi didn't bend. So the frustration also shows up in such blame games. Let me add another layer. Navarro is not just taking oil, he is covering the Trump's failures. Now, Trump promised he would bring Putin and Zelensky to the negotiating table. He didn't. He could not, rather. The war expanded instead. Today, blaming India becomes a distraction. If it's Modi's war, then it's not Trump's failed diplomacy, not Biden's stretched strategy, not NATO's miscalculation. It's classic scapegoating. Next headline may read, India also responsible for Mars being too cold and America's student debt crisis, right? This is not about Ukraine. It's about power and perception. India had refused to be anyone's pawn. It sits in BRICS, partners with US in Quad, and balances ties with Russia. That's autonomy. Bothers the West. So now what's next? Expect Western media outlets, funded think tanks and policy analysts to start amplifying this Modi's war angle. It's how narrative wars are first created and then fought. By planting blames, questioning credibility, and weakening India's global image. And soon a glossy report will come out from some Western think tank telling us India is secretly running wars, famines, and maybe even alien invasions, right? So is this really Modi's war? Or is this a latest chapter of Western blame shifting, hiding their own failures and testing a new propaganda line against India? When Russia invades, NATO sends weapons, Europe buys oil, and United States and China also buys oil. But only India gets blamed. It tells us just one thing. India's influence has grown so much that even wars thousands of miles away cannot be discussed without dragging India's name in. And that's not an insult, that's recognition. And recognition is what really scares the entire Western world. What's your take? Propaganda, deflection, or fear of India's rise? Do share your thoughts in our comment section. And that's all from my side in this video. As of now, we'll stay tuned on what's happening on this front. Jai Hind and Jai Bharat.